What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday. We haven't done one of these in a while. The past, present, and future, I've been talking about a DX9 one coming. So that's what we're going to get into today. I will end up doing a dusting video. It's not going to be immediate, but it is coming. I will do it. Don't worry. I heard you loud and clear. We do have a couple house cleaning things from this week. The 3 Mighty Warriors Huffer does have an ankle rocker. I corrected it on the Warpath video. So if you saw one and didn't see the other, if you check the other one out, you'll see it. It's on a double hinge. It's a little strange, but it's definitely there. Definitely works. The afterthoughts of that on the Patreon are scary, which should hit today or tomorrow. We do have a couple house cleaning things from the TFCon reveals to talk about. One of which is the Fans Toys Astro Train. When I was editing it, I knew I should have specified, but let me go ahead and say this. Yes, it is cartoon accurate. Yes, I get it. I don't care for it. I wish they would have gone with a more realistic looking shuttle. I kind of enjoy that motif with Masterpiece stuff where like the alt modes looked real and the bot modes looked semi-cartoon, but I understand that most people are completely satisfied with the shuttle mode. It was just my opinion on it. Zeta's Raiden feet. Or should I say Zeta's Raiden feet. I heard a lot of people making counter arguments to that. I'm not making an argument. I'm speculating. It's not that I don't want the train part to be the foot. I just know that they have this kind of thing down pat now, and maybe if it was a train part that was an add-on piece, I wouldn't have said what I said. However, people pointed out that Constructor uses the foot of Mixmaster kind of in a similar fashion, so it may be fine. You're absolutely right, and it may very well be fine. It's not just that. It's that mixed with the Predaking kind of changes that I'm seeing. Like, it's just something that has my spider sense going off. My fingers are crossed. I'm like you. I'm hoping that everything is going to turn out right. I'm just saying it's something that I'm thinking about. Half the Battle toys. They were mentioned briefly in the TFCon video. One of their folks contacted me and told me it's going to be a lot of transforming vehicles that look reminiscent of the G.I. Joe franchise that transform into robots, and they'll have little riders and stuff. I actually hit them up with a separate idea I don't think they're going to do, but I don't think they have any interest in it, but something that I would prefer to see. I think I mentioned it in the video. Doesn't matter, but that's what that's about. So there's some information for you. Now, let's go ahead and get this video started. We're going to talk about DX9. We're going to go through the past, present, and future, and then we'll wrap up a little bit at the end. But in order to do that, we have to go back in time.
Let's rewind the clocks back. A year ago, these cops and lawyers... wrong show. Look, our story with DX9 starts in about 2014. And they started the way that many start, and that is to say, with upgrade kits. Now, I can't speak too much on these because I don't really bother with upgrade kits too much. It's got to be something really special for me to get involved. But they started in 2014, and they started with these upgrade kits. One for a movie Prime and one for an animated Prime. I'm sure they were fine. But in that same year, we see their first 2 main releases. And this is after the split, at least brand-wise, with Unique Toys. I think they remained in contact and cooperated together, but the brands definitely split around this point and it became apparent. And I wish I could track down that specific moment because I think it'd be worth talking about that because I'm pretty sure that that wedge may have gotten a bit deeper. But be that as it may, we got their first 2 molds, one of which was their Mirage, which for the time was quite impressive because many third-party companies weren't really dipping into the Masterpiece well quite yet, and it was really suitable for the era. They followed that up with a translucent version that looked far more translucent in picture than it did in hand. It ended up looking like some sort of elemental or something in hand. It was a much deeper blue, which you can kind of see in this photograph. Like, they really lit this thing up in order to get it to look light. And they also retooled it slightly to make a crasher out of it, which was cool as well. And that was cool because their other mold, which was around the same time, was their Splinter, which was a take on Wreck-Gar, kind of stylized the same. Not quite accurate, but definitely in the right spirit. Wouldn't quite work for today's standards, but for the time, once again, it was definitely acceptable, and they got a cycle out of that, which was exciting. Nobody really imagined that was a possibility. In the same year, I believe, 2014, they start dipping into the Legends well. So DX9 is really quite ahead of the curve in regard to the Legends game. They were there pretty much from the beginning. They possibly were the first. I think they were. With their Ratchet and Scourge, which I don't think I ever had the opportunity to take a look at. But they didn't let go of their upgrade roots and continued with some upgrades for Hasbro's Megatron at the time, which I think really did make a difference for the And then shortly thereafter, we got one of their best molds in my opinion to date, a Studio Ox styled Rodimus Prime, which I just haven't been able to let go of. I don't use it. It's not in my proper display. I keep it in the main room, which you'll see as soon as we cut back, if you look close enough. But it's just a really elegant, beautiful, self-contained Rodimus that I still feel to this day can compete with the modern market. It's exceptional. Now, they repainted this as well into a shattered glass version, which had a special meaning on Shattered Cast for terror, which I never got, but does hold a place in my heart. It wasn't long after that we got their Astro Train offering, which stylistically doesn't quite fit with the modern standard, and even when it came out, it wasn't quite up to the modern standard. However, when it was competing with the other Astro Trains that were on the market at the same time, to me, it was the standout winner, at least in quality and size. The Toy World one just wasn't up to snuff, and then that other one, Captain Obscurity or whatever his name is, was just too small for my collection. Now, their next offering was really well received, and it was quite well done. I never went in on it because the Fans Toys one was already announced, and I was pretty sure that was the direction I wanted to go, but that was their Tyrant, a masterpiece scaled Galvatron that definitely marks a moment in time where their quality went up a notch. We then got another Galvatron, albeit in a smaller size, with their legend scaled Galvatron and Cyclonus, which I'm not sure I ever took a look at either, but once again, it was way early in the Legends game. The next masterpiece offering we got was their Blitz Wing, which is still probably the best built masterpiece Blitz Wing available on the market, but aesthetically it wasn't quite up to the current standard. It was still a little too stylized for most people's sensibilities. Now, you know me, I don't need it to be Hyper G1, but there is this bar that you can go beyond where it no longer really feels like the character. It feels like some sort of representation of the character, or an interpretation maybe is the better word, of the character. We then see them dip back into the well a little bit with their Legend stuff because the Legend stuff started to pick up a little steam. So we got a 3-pack with their Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge, and then another one with their Ironhide, Ratchet, and Blur. And this kind of marks a moment where they really kind of started going full steam with their Legends. We got the Hulky set, which although none of them turned into robots as far as I can remember, they all did turn into the Devastator, which is the first Legend scale combiner for third party we might want to take note of, and was pretty cool once combined. We also got their Legend scale Mitron around the same time. That the Devastator could hold, if I remember correctly. I remember being impressed at the time of how they were able to do the engineering of a Megatron in a Legend scale into the pistol and have it still kind of work. They did a 2-pack of RC and Cup in Legend scale. I don't remember being necessarily impressed with the RC, but the Cup was pretty cool. And by this point, the Legends game, in my opinion, really started. Legends were around prior to, obviously, but the gun was fired for the track race to really start around this era. They also competed in the Masterpiece Megatron Wars with their Mitron offering, which was probably the most tune accurate of the 3 offerings between them, Apollyon, and Despotron, and a lot of people went this direction. And I still think if you're going for a tune accurate Megatron, that this has a place because the silver definitely stands out a bit more than the gray that Takara used. The Takara one is a better built thing, and this one actually had a pretty significant design flaw in my opinion regarding the barrel and how it gets stuck in gun mode. But aesthetically in robot mode, this one really does check a lot of G1 cartoon boxes. This is also the moment where you can see their sensibilities in regard to design cues and aesthetics really begin to change. They continued with their Legend stuff still to this day, and of course we see that design change spill over into that as well, with a very accurate and cool Dinobot set, all in the Legend scale. All of them suffer from tolerance issues, but they're all built and designed quite well. We got their Masterpiece 6-shot, which I enjoyed. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 6-shots. I think I actually like G Creations one the best. It just doesn't fit with my collection, and I prefer the Fans Toys over this, but there's no reason other than aesthetics for that. This one was built very well, designed very well, and was a great offering. They followed that up with another great Masterpiece offering, which was their Power Glide, which was a fantastic figure, and to me was the culmination of everything they'd pretty much learned in regard to aesthetics and engineering up until that time. We then got 2 sets of Seekers, the cone heads and the normal ones, which were up to the current snuff, and a translucent re-release of the Starscream. Now DX9, while they did start out doing a lot of repaints, they kind of got away from that. They definitely circled back to it with this Prime, which I think is predictable and I think is acceptable. It's almost part of the culture now, but we got a clear one, we got a black one, we got a purple one, we got a white one. They just don't know when to quit in regard to Prime re-releases, and people keep buying them, so who can really be mad at it? Plus, it was a really cool and well well done Legend Scaled Optimus. They then released their biggest bot to date, which was their Gabriel, their take on Omega Supreme, which, once again, much like their Hanzo, I think is built better than the Fans Toys one. Aesthetically, I just prefer the Fans Toys one, but it's another one where there's no wrong choice to make. They both excel in different areas, and much like the 6-shot, the difference aesthetically is minor. It's just a matter of sensibility. We then got this weird little thing that I know is based on something, but I don't care about it, but is worth mentioning, so here's the mention. Their first Masterpiece Scale Combiner set is 2/5 of the way to completion with their Breakdown and Wild Rider. I think their Wild Rider is built better than their Breakdown. I think their Breakdown looks better than their Wild Rider, but I am counting on this with my fingers crossed for the combine mode to be super effective and efficient and scale properly with my current Decepticon combiners. Only time will tell, but that's the basket my fish are in. And so far, I don't have any reason to think that it's not going to work. But what's interesting about this set is that it doesn't scale properly with the Unique Toys set, so it seems like there's some distance. To follow that up, Unique Toys has had some luck with some movie bots, and now we get an offering of a Hot Rod from DX9. So two interesting things about this. One, following the Unique Toys pattern, and you can make the argument that Unique Toys followed them with the Legends. But two, let's look at what they're doing. Masterpiece scaled G1 Transformers. Masterpiece scaled movie bots. Legend scaled G1 Transformers, and whatever this thing is. Also along the way, we've gotten some Masterpiece scale-ish attempts at GoBot stuff. And oddly enough, we've gotten some upgrade kits along the way. It makes me wonder about their commitment.
And of course, you know that I think that New Age is them as well, so they've got that coming in the future, all of those sorts of stuff. Now, let me talk about what I noticed while looking at this, while I was editing it and recording it and all of that. Let me tell you what I noticed. For one, they're another company that doesn't dabble a whole lot in repaints. They do it, but they're not heavy-handed with it, which I dig. I also noticed that over time, they are very willing to adapt to the market. They're willing to change and be fluid in the way that they maneuver in order to kind of settle into what people are looking for or wanting at the time. I think there's something that needs to be said for that. It's a smart way to do it. They're also willing to take chances. So Mega Supreme, compete against Fans Toys, do Studio Ox stuff, do the Legend stuff. Like, they're definitely willing to be on the cutting edge, meanwhile adapting something that they're doing to the general market at the time. They're pretty smart if you really look at what they've done over the years and how they've maneuvered. It's a clever company. The reason why I bring up the commitment in that section is because they've got a lot of stuff going on, and some stuff they have abandoned. They don't really do too much Ox stuff anymore. You don't really see too much add-on stuff anymore. It's pretty much the G1 Masterpiece, G1 Legends, and maybe this movie stuff. But I guess what I'm trying to get at there is if you're completing your movie line, you might want to wait and see how they adapt to the market over time to see if that's a company to put your faith in. I'm just not sure. But I think they make a solid product overall, and I think they're probably one of the most clever companies and most adaptable to the landscape within this pocket. It was interesting. It's worthwhile doing. Next week, I think we're going to do the next installment of the Bay movie franchise. We haven't done one for March yet, so that'll be next week. I'm also working on a video. I couldn't get it done in time. It's a lot of editing of a Nerd Rage conversation about Captain Marvel. I didn't do a review here of the good, the bad, and the ugly. We did have a pretty decent conversation about it on Nerd Rage, so I'm going to put that out. If people like it, cool. If not, it was a waste of my time, but either way, testing the waters. And 4 Dummies is coming back next week, and then we'll get back with some other stuff. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.